Hello and welcome to another video. In this video I thought we'd take a look at how the Bongo did on the last holiday and see how the updates that I've been doing, see how they fared on the holiday, would I change anything, would I add anything. So I think we should dive straight in and get to the first one on the list. So the first thing is, I've been asked this a few times, and LPG, did I find much? How did it go? And you know, the kind of fuel costs on the holiday. Well, I have to say the LPG did pretty well, to be honest with you. I did literally the whole trip on LPG. The only bit I didn't do was heading down into Edinburgh for about 20 miles, but I had found an LPG station nearby. So I was able to actually use it, get it pretty much everywhere, but not from the sort of like Shell and BP, because they've taken LPG out of everywhere, which is a complete pain. Especially in these times when you need an eco fuel that's nice and cheap. So it just seems bonkers to me to take it out, but there you go. So I was using the app, I think it's Fill My LPG or My LPG app, something like that. I'll put the app logo up in a second, and I'll put a link in the description as well. And that app was brilliant. I have to say that was the best thing to use. It just found everything, all the independent sellers, and there were quite a few. I have to say that was quite good. There were some in random locations. There were some really weird ones that we went to, but like up in Scotland, Morrison's sells LPG. I don't think it's everywhere in Morrison's, but it was. We just found one, no problem. It was the cheapest one. I think it was 79 pence a litre. That was probably the cheapest that I paid. So it was probably the prices range from about 79 up to nearly £1, which is about average. I'm paying about 94 for my local one. So yeah, that app is totally worth having if you've got LPG. And so yeah, I was pretty happy to do pretty much the whole trip, because it made it probably half the price if I'd gone on petrol. Petrol's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's just crazy money. So yeah, so LPG, definitely still worth having, I think. Again, if you're going over to France or something, you'd have no problem with it. But yeah, I was a bit concerned that would be the biggest issue there, and it would push the cost up. But yeah, absolutely fine. So that's LPG was still good. So a thing I do before I actually set off on any holiday is I do actually do a bit of a check on the oil and like all the kind of levels. So I do check my main oil level, the coolant level, make sure that's not changed at all, and just have a look around the coolant pipes if I can be bothered to do that one. Do that at your peril or not. And another one is, because I've got an LPG system, there's a thing called flash lube. Sounds a bit rude, but that's that kind of like just lubricates the valves, I think, just because it's a different fuel that goes in there, and I have no idea. Go and have a look on the LPG site. But yeah, it kind of saves your valves. It's valve saver fluid, it's called. Yeah, so just make sure that's topped up, and also tire pressures. I go around and check all them. I usually go when I've got quite a lot of load on. I go nearer to sort of 40 psi. That seems to work pretty well. So yeah, just a general check of the vehicle, make sure everything's working all right. Indicators, screen wash as well, mega important, that one. So yeah, just worth doing a little check. If you spot anything, it just saves you heartache down the road, doesn't it? So sticking with the cost of things, one thing that was really apparent and quite shocking was the cost of camping. And it did actually start to make us pull back on what we sort of thought we was going to do on the holiday. And made us think twice about going all the way up the west coast when it was raining so much, just to waste a lot of money on fuel and camping, because the camping cost was just staggering, really. I think around Edinburgh was the most expensive, which, you know, you'd expect, and it was a brilliant site and just outside of Edinburgh, so you know, got to pay a premium for that. So that was I think it was £55 a night for that one. So but it was worth it. It was right where we needed to be. But the other ones were still heading towards £50. It was probably between 40 sort of mid 40s sort of money to £50, and it starts to make you think, you know, camping's starting to be this really expensive thing to do. It used to be the cheap thing, the cheap alternative. Obviously they've got to pay for their energy costs, which are going up, but they seem to be going up anyway, and it just gets a bit much, and it kind of almost borders on the point where, is it any point actually taking a really big tent when you could almost hire one of them pods? Yeah, they are kind of expensive, but it makes the holiday easier. Plus it would free up all the space for leisure activities like cycling or kayaking. Stand-up paddle boards you could stick in there as well. So I think what we might actually do a bit of a hybrid approach and see if we can buy or rent out some of those little pod things as our base, and still take a little tent with us so we can do one-nighters here and there, and just put a bunch of them together because they're so much easier and just saves you having to pitch a tent and lug a massive tent around. So yeah, it's sort of like our future holidays might change a bit because of the cost of camping, but yeah, that was the most shocking thing really, I think, on the holiday. It definitely will shape our future plans, I think. So on to the next one. So the next thing is, how did the new bed modification go? Well, that was fantastic, I have to say. That was so much easier, and saving all that space with the mattresses, that was just the best thing in the world. I mean, we've got all the clothes in the back, and we don't ever do that. They're normally all over the floor. It was still pretty fairly packed, really, quite packed in, really. But without those mattresses, so much easier. And putting the bed into bed mode, man, that was a lot easier as well, and a lot more comfortable. So you just knew you're going to get a good night's sleep in the van. I mean, I don't care if I'm in a tent or the van, but is always going to have a good night's sleep in the van, so that was perfect. Yeah, so but would I change anything about the bed? Now there is something, because one thing I did find a little bit annoying was, now I've changed the sort of how far the drawer comes out, because the drawer was amazing, so big, could fit everything in there, absolutely brilliant. But because it came out so far, you couldn't, when it's in bed mode, you couldn't open the drawer. Before you used to, because it was inset a bit, you used to be able to just open it a little bit and get in and just take a few items out, but now you can't do that. So I wish I'd thought ahead a bit, but it doesn't matter. I'll have to do it when I take the seat out ever again. If I ever take the seat out, sorry. Is I'm going to build some hatches into the boards, so I'll be able to, when it's in bed mode, just lift up the foam pad and take out the hatch and be able to get access to the drawer, and that'll solve the problem, and that'll be actually really good. So that's what I'll do. I'll do that at a future date if I get to take the seat out, because I've got to take the springs out. I left the seat springs on the frame, and they'll be in the way now, so we won't be able to get anything out because of them. So it does require me to angle grind them off. So I'll do that modification when the time comes, when I ever take the seat out, because there's another mod I've got to do at some point, which is change the front panel, because I want to have the option of being able to push the seat all the way to the back if I don't have the back box in, and I can't do that with the front panel because it will clash against the wheel arch covers. So yeah, just a little modification there, so I'll do it all at once, and that'll be a future video, I think. So yeah, but overall, bed modification was absolutely amazing. Now the stove, that was absolutely brilliant as well. No problem with that. I'm really happy with that one. That was just gives me more room with that big cupboard, and just being able to just pull the stove out, and just, even with this stuff all over the place, I didn't used to be able to do that. So that was great. And my new little tower tidy system over here, that worked really well. A bit rattly though. I think I'd have to put a bit more padding in between little jars and things, because they were rattling around. So yeah, so all the mods worked incredibly well, so that's fantastic. Right, so the next thing up on the list, and probably the last thing I think, is the roof box. Now, whoa, that thing was incredible. That worked out so well. Yeah, just being able to shove everything up there. At first I was being quite light with it and just putting just coats and a few little bits and bobs up there, but then by the end I was just shoving stuff up there. And yeah, it got a proper test on this holiday, because it was going up towards Ben Nevis. The wind and the rain was howling, and it was probably about 40 odd mile an hour winds just bashing the side of it, and it was absolutely fine. So I'm pretty confident in the roof bar system and everything. So oh, that was amazing. If you can get a roof box, if you can get access up onto your roof and everything, then definitely worth it. I would say if you've got an original AFT, and just like these ones, these aftermarket ones, you've got to be careful how much is in the actual box before you raise your roof. You've got to empty quite a bit out, because it does struggle a bit. The gas struts aren't quite strong enough for that. So yeah, so there's a little consideration there, just how much weight you've got in it, to see if the actual roof will go up, because obviously the original ones have the motors, so you don't want to wreck the motors if you've got something really heavy up there, but you don't want to put anything too heavy up there anyway. But it's just getting rid of all them bulky light items like boots and coats and even like sleeping bags if you want to go up like that, because it's waterproof and everything. So yeah, so roof box, absolute winner for that one. Yeah, so yeah, so I think that's all the points on my list, I think. Yeah, so I think that's it for this video. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this one. I've got another video coming up soon. I'm going to do a modification to my water system, which is going to hopefully be really good. I've been meaning to do it for a while. I said it all the time, but yeah, so hopefully that's coming up next. So I'm going to try and get on with that next week. And yeah, so watch out for that video, and thanks for watching this one, and I will see you soon. Cheers.